So the Oklahoma Sooners under Brent Venables keep their winning streak alive, this time getting a big win at a position of necessity. As Damonic Williams, former TCU defensive lineman, has announced his intention to transfer to Oklahoma today, we need to talk about why this is such a big win and why Oklahoma fans everywhere need to be excited. But before we can, as always, y'all know the drill. I've got to hear from you. Hop down to the comments, give me a Y for yes, N for no. Are you excited that Williams ultimately chose Oklahoma? And let me know what you're thinking. If you're new to the channel, be sure to subscribe, hit that bell notification as I do constant college football content. You don't want to miss any of it. And if you enjoyed the content, be sure to like and comment down below. But having said all that, let's jump right into this. And before we really start talking about Damonic Williams and the impact he can have and why this was such an entertaining battle, we have once again got to talk about the phenomenal job that Brent Venables has done since overtaking the head coach position at Oklahoma, both in terms of recruiting and in terms of transfer portal acquisitions. Because every time this Oklahoma staff identifies a need, they make principled efforts to get wins at the position of need, and this is just the latest example of that. Part of the reason why I remain high on their ability to go in and actually turn heads within the SEC, something I can't wait to see. But let's talk about Williams and the effect he can have and why this was such an entertaining battle. I don't think I need to tell you who Damonic Williams is. Former TCU interior defensive lineman, standing per 24/7 Sports, 6'2", 320 pounds. And if we look at the top available players in the transfer portal, he comes in at number 6 overall and the number 2 interior defensive lineman. And one of the areas that I think is so impressive about this is piggybacking off of something we just talked about. Brent Venables' ability to not only identify a need, that's one thing. You're never going to get better unless you realize where your shortcomings lie. And for him to be able to consistently identify, okay, this is where I don't think we're up to par, that already is great. It shows that he's not complacent. It shows that he's an active coach. And I've talked about this several times. Complacency is the death of many great coaches, and Brent Venables is showing everybody he has no interest in being complacent. But it's one thing to recognize that, hey, I have a need here. That's only step 1. Step 2 is fixing that problem. And like I said, he has been very good at both step 1 and step 2. Part of the reason why I still maintain so much faith. And whenever we look at this Oklahoma interior defensive line, it is an interesting conversation because talent, that's not the issue. Whenever I look at some of the guys you recently got in this recruiting class, there are some names that I think SEC fans, Oklahoma fans, and heck, honestly, college football fans are going to know sooner rather than later. No pun intended. But the one thing you don't have, at least as much as you would like, is experience. It's a conversation I have around Alabama in the defensive back room all the time. Alabama's in a position where they just recruited 3 5-star defensive backs. Any other school in the nation would be over the moon at getting 3 5-star defensive backs in one recruiting class. The problem isn't talent. The problem is lack of experience. Part of the reason why Alabama has been looking in the transfer portal trying to find someone they like at that defensive back position. We'll still see if they get a win there, but that's a very similar conversation we can have about Oklahoma, is that talent isn't the issue. There are several guys in this room that if you talk to Oklahoma fans, and I do, they're really excited about. I'm really excited about them. But Dejon Terry is the guy really carrying the load of experience here. And in a perfect world, you want to have a little bit more experience than that. You want to have someone who's familiar with what it takes to succeed game 1 through the end of the season, what it takes to succeed in spring camp as well as fall camp. And Williams has done that. There's a reason why Texas wanted him, Missouri wanted him, LSU wanted him, heck, and obviously Oklahoma wanted him. Because he has that experience, because he is a true difference maker. This is the type of guy you get out the transfer portal, and in 6 months, 7 months, a year from now, we're having conversations around, man, what a big win that was for Oklahoma. Yeah, they had talent in the room, no doubt about it, but getting a guy with that level of talent that's been proven to translate to college football that then has experience, you can't really put a price tag on that. And it piggybacks off of something both Jay at Unfair Sports, by the way, I'm sure all of you are subscribed over there, but in the off chance that you're not, be sure to go do that after you click off of this video. Jay does a phenomenal job with the content he presents every single time. Lucky to have worked with him as a content creator, and even luckier to be able to call him a friend. Great guy, great content creator, and I cannot recommend his channel enough. Just one of many fantastic content creators. PG, Jason with the Hall of Fame, Chris with Horns Down. All great guys, so be sure to give them all a follow. But I digress. Let's focus back up. One of the things Jay and I talk about ad nauseum, at length, is that whenever you're in college, your tutors, they're not professors, they're peers. And I know I'm beating a dead horse because I say this all the time, but I say this all the time to drive home the point of why it's so important, why a Brent Venables, why a Todd Bates is going out in the transfer portal, being active, trying to get a Williams, even though they like the young talent they have. You want more competitive depth. Every team in the nation wants more competitive depth. That is something you just never can have too much of. And especially in the SEC, where competitive depth is the name of the game. In Oklahoma, they're playing the game. Brent Venables is playing the game. And we need to remember, before we go any further, Brent Venables walked into a situation that was set up on an offensive perspective, but not a defensive one. And he has done great work mitigating that. He has done great work fixing that while maintaining an offensive prowess that allows Oklahoma to be successful. And that was one of the things I was interested in seeing. Oklahoma coming from Lincoln Riley, you knew they were going to have a high-powered offense when Brent Venables gets the job. My first thought is, oh, he's going to fix that defense. I don't think it'll be year one. Might not even be year two, but he's going to fix it. And we've already seen signs of the defense improving. When I watch the inside linebacker play at Oklahoma, there's four guys. Four that you look at, and really even more than four, but four guys that you look at and you're like, man, you could make an impact. Not only here for the Sooners, but anywhere. I mean, you transfer out and it would be sharks in the water after that cat, and for good reason. Very talented, and that's just part of the development that we've seen with Brent Venables at Oklahoma. And understand, it's still very young. Not only is he still very young in his career at Oklahoma, it's his first time being a head coach. And I think that also helps him understand I can't be complacent. I must continually improve. Because he's not only trying to prove it to us, he's trying to prove it to himself. Once again, I apologize. I'm a little bit like a squirrel. I digress. Let's focus back up. Being able to get a Williams, pair him with DeJoun Terry, and have those two monsters on the inside that have experience, that's going to help your young guys, a Stone, a Jackson, get up to speed. And certainly not just those two, but everybody in the room. Now, finally, why was this such an interesting battle? Well, I say it all the time. Heavyweight recruiters going after a top prospect is something I will always be intrigued in. Oklahoma and Texas have a rivalry, but dare I say there's a new rivalry sparking, certainly in the fan bases between Oklahoma and Missouri. Certainly in the fan bases on social media, there is a rivalry sparking. Something that I hope continues to the gridiron. Rivalries are great for college football, but great for the conference they occur in. And with Oklahoma and Texas moving to the SEC, it provides new opportunities for new rivalries to be born. That's an unbelievable thing that we all get to witness. And we are very lucky for that. It's part of the reason why I've always been so excited. I have maintained my excitement for Oklahoma and Texas being admitted into the SEC. I think it's great for Oklahoma and Texas. I think it's great for the SEC. It is a marriage that benefits both parties. And those are the best marriages. But part of the reason else why it's so fascinating, this battle, is you have two bitter rivals, Texas and Oklahoma. Texas knows they have got to replace the 2 losses they sustained to the NFL draft on the interior of their defensive line. Oklahoma wants more competitive depth. They want more experience. They want more difference makers. Both teams go into bat for a very talented prospect. Only one wins. And I can't wait to hear from you why you're so excited that Oklahoma got this one. Hop down to the comments. Let me know what you're thinking. That's it. See ya.